So who would like to do their character introduction first?
We planned so well.
Yep, I'll do it. I mean, I'm winging it, but I'll do it.
It's fine. Just the kind of basics, I guess.
All right. So Jellie is a rock gnome forge cleric. She is originally from Elturel, and she grew up there with her mum and dad and her siblings, who are all blacksmiths. Her dad running a forge in Elturel, and she was the middle child, and her brother was originally set up to take over the forge, and he passed away when Jellie was around 13, which meant a lot of the responsibility fell onto her to kind of be a bit more responsible and eventually take over from her dad as the owner of the forge. However, Jellie had absolutely no interest in being a blacksmith. She loved to create fine pieces of jewellery. Very different career path, and she learned a lot from visiting the local market, where she met a lot of friends, travellers from outside Elturel, who taught her a lot about the craft of jewellery making. She did not want to be a blacksmith so much that she attempted to get out of that field and out of that life through various means, one of which being communing with a demon. I don't think she fully knew, via a Ouija board, which she bought at the market, but which I don't believe she actually ever attempted. I can't remember actually now whether she did or not, or if she bought it from a dodgy guy, and the local police force of Elturel were on the lookout for her. DM, correct me if I'm wrong there. I can't actually remember how we agreed on. I genuinely can't. I can't remember. Like, for a while she did summon, or she did try summon it, and then for a while she didn't, and she was just
yeah. So I believe you attempted to commune with a devil.
She did try. She tried in the forge, didn't she?
When that failed, not long after is when Amity apparated in the forge.
Yes, of course. How could I forget that? Because Jellie thought that Amity was the devil she had summoned.
Misunderstanding.
An honest mistake. So that was when she met up with her best friend Amity, and they both left Elturel for their own reasons. Jellie's being that she was scared of the law enforcement catching wind of her illegal activities.
Elturel, essentially being a theocratic state, takes communing with infernal beings very seriously.
As they arguably should. But Jellie, keen to leave her life behind anyway, and with this extra push in the direction, she fled the city and went to Baldur's Gate, and she set up a forge there and lived for 5 or so years with her friend Amity also living in the city as well. So, and that's where the campaign started.
Amity, what about you?
Amity is a tiefling, and she's a wild magic sorcerer. She doesn't really remember much about her past. She knows that her parents wanted to get rid of her, so just dropped her off the doors of the Elturel Academy.
Little baby Amity dropped off at the academy.
Yeah, little babby Annie, as we say. And she didn't enjoy her time there, to say the least. She's a sorcerer, so her magic is like within her, whereas the academy is for wizards, where they learn magic through like intense study. She doesn't quite gel with that. She also didn't quite gel with her being a tiefling, and she was bullied a lot, to the point where she would like hack away at her horns and like her tail, and like just have so much hatred and self-loathing. And one fateful night, she got so overwhelmed by all her emotion and frustration that she couldn't be a fucking wizard, that she manifested her emotions in a teleportation circle wild magic search, where she opened her eyes. Jellie was there with a shitty Ouija board. Thanking her for answering her ritual. And after the confusion was cleared up, they ran away to Baldur's Gate, where Amity just studied and tried to learn as much about herself as she possibly could. And now she's in hell.
Yeah, she certainly is. Yeah, wild magic sorcerers having to deal with the idea that sometimes the magic that comes from within them not entirely predictable or controllable. Results may vary.
It's magic, that's true.
Magic.
It is magic.
Yeah, so with the kind of character backstories there, I will just say, trying to write up a concise summary of 26 sessions. It is something.
Impossible.
If you don't have everything, Gavin, me and Sarah will bring you up.
Chime in.
When I get to the end of this, you can let me know if, or just interrupt if I'm missing any important details. Yeah, objection.
Where's the love potion?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, the love potion subplot. I forgot that was a thing.
It was a thing.
So there we go. That's an important detail I forgot.
Very important, very vital.
So the summary for the first 26 sessions, I guess, would be that our campaign began in the city of Baldur's Gate, a relatively lawless coastal trading hub of a city. And this place had been home to Amity and Jellie for about 5 years at this point, both having established themselves within the city of Baldur's Gate since arriving from Elturel. However, you two would then suddenly find yourselves conscripted to serve the Flaming Fist, a mercenary company hired by the leaders of the city to serve as Baldur's Gate's police force and standing army. The reason the Flaming Fist had resorted to conscripting citizens of the city is that there was quite a crisis unfolding in the region. The holy city of Elturel, a rival city-state to Baldur's Gate, and also the nearest city to Baldur's Gate by quite a margin, had vanished, seemingly leaving behind nothing but a crater, with no one seeming to have any concrete answers on what exactly had happened to the city. In the aftermath of Elturel's disappearance, survivors and denizens of Elturel's surrounding vassal territories fled to Baldur's Gate in huge numbers, many having lost everything with Elturel's disappearance, others fearing what might be yet to come and hoping to find some safety within the walls of Baldur's Gate. However, the disappearance of Baldur's Gate the disappearance of Elturel had affected Baldur's Gate very directly in that Ulder Ravengard, the Grand Duke of Baldur's Gate and the Supreme Marshal of the Flaming Fist, had been visiting the city of Elturel with his retinue on a diplomatic mission at the time of the city's disappearance. And so with no way to contact their leader and becoming overwhelmed by the unfolding refugee crisis, the Flaming Fist struggled to keep control of the city as old threats re-emerged. Amity and Jellie would find themselves tasked with investigating the resurgent Dead Three, a coalition of cults to dangerous outlawed gods in Baldur's Gate. And in a series of events involving haunted taverns, angry pirates, a brief alliance with the servants of Tiamat, a greatly feared draconic deity, the gals, Amity and Jellie, were able to locate the hideout of the Dead Three and eliminate one of the cults entirely, one of the three cults that make up that coalition. One of them was just essentially completely wiped out in you guys' assault on that hideout. And what was left of the remaining two cults basically had to scatter to the sewers of the city, where the Flaming Fist would set about hunting them down and eradicating them fully. In the process of all of this, Amity and Jellie discovered a much larger conspiracy. Through an unlikely new friend, Mortlock Van Thamper, the gals would learn that the Dead Three were being heavily funded, armed, and coordinated by the Van Thamper family, one of the most powerful families in Baldur's Gate. Mortlock wanted revenge on his family, and the gals wanted to see this whole cult issue dealt with. And so an alliance was formed, and systematically capturing, interrogating, and executing members of the Van Damper family. You guys were able to discern that the Van Dampers were actually themselves cultists of Zariel, a fallen angel and the current archdevil of Avernus, the first layer of the 9 hells. As well as this, the Van Dampers were revealed to have been in league with Fabius Krieg, the High Overseer of Elturel. And it would be revealed that Krieg had been the one that was responsible for the fate that had befallen Elturel. He had made a pact with the archdevil Zariel, and as a result of that pact, Elturel and all of its inhabitants, their souls were forfeit to Zariel. In one final assault on the Van Damper Villa in Baldur's Gate, you guys and Mortlock discovered a network of tunnels underneath the villa and were able to eliminate Thalamra Van Damper herself, the matriarch of the family, and also Mortlock's mother.
What a bitch.
Yeah, she was not a pleasant woman. As well as this, you guys discovered the item that the Van Dampers were planning to use to similarly send Baldur's Gate down to Avernus, joining Elturel. This item was the Crown of the Hidden Lord, an ancient relic containing the imprisoned soul of a very powerful devil. Another item was also retrieved, however, the Infernal Puzzle Box of Fabius Krieg. This puzzle box, it was believed, would contain the contract Krieg had signed with the Archdevil Zariel. In the Van Damper Villa, you guys also discovered the imprisoned Fallister Fisk, a researcher from the renowned Institute of Candlekeep, who had been sent to uncover fiendish plots in Elturel and Baldur's Gate. But he had been captured by the Van Dampers, not the most subtle Fallister. But it was revealed that Fallister worked for Silvira Savicus, a leading academic specializing in the infernal planes, and Silvira also is a bit of a role model and idol for Amity, being a very, very intelligent and very well-respected tiefling, a major way in the tough world of academia. But, with the threat of the Dead Three and the Van Dampers dealt with, you guys set your eyes on Candlekeep, hoping to get some more answers on how Elturel might be saved from its hellish fate, and hoping that Silvira might be able to crack open that puzzle box of Krieg's. But throughout all of these events, a romance had begun to blossom between Mortlock and Amity. And after some gentle persuasion, Mortlock decided to accompany you guys on the journey to Candlekeep. And this journey to Candlekeep would take several days, and was not. It was quite an eventful journey. The coastal road proving to be a dangerous route. But you guys would eventually arrive in Candlekeep and were introduced to Silvira Savicus herself, who was indeed able to crack Krieg's puzzle box. The contract contained within revealed that the souls of all the Elturan citizens dragged to hell with the city were forfeit to Zariel. However, it would be possible to save the city and its denizens if the great infernal chains anchoring the city to the hellish plane were in some way severed. As well as this, Silvira was able to identify the devil imprisoned within the Crown of the Hidden Lord as Garguath, a pit fiend who once sought to claim the title of Archdevil of Avernus for himself. A very dangerous, very powerful entity indeed. Hearing of the possibility to save Elturel and the souls of those still alive within the city, Jellie vowed to travel to Avernus in order to save her estranged family. Amity was determined to follow her best friend into hell itself, and even got herself wrapped up in Silvera's plans to turn the rescue mission into a little bit of a research expedition. So the two of you spent some time researching and preparing under Silvera's guidance. You said your farewells and you departed, leaving Mortlock behind to travel to the Tower of Traxigor, a very eccentric wizard who was willing to teleport you guys to Avernus. Here at the Tower of Traxigor, you met an old friend of Silvera's, a Hollyphant named Lulu, a winged celestial being not unlike a golden baby elephant. Lulu, however, suffers from very severe memory loss, as well as having lost many of her natural magical powers that Hollyphants usually are able to wield. But one thing Lulu knew for sure was that she had been to Avernus before, and perhaps the secrets to unlocking her memories could be found there. So with that, Traxigor teleported Amity, Jellie, and their new friend Lulu onto the hell-ravaged streets of Elturel, currently chained to the first of the 9 hells, Avernus. And arriving by teleportation in Elturel, you guys were able to quickly get your bearings and determine that the 2 bastions of survivors holding out against the forces of hell were the Elturel Academy in the eastern half of the city, the childhood home of Amity, where she had spent many years studying and not having a great time of it, really. And in the western half of the city, the bastion holding it there was the city's High Hall Cathedral. You guys also discovered that the arrival of Elturel above the River Styx had caused quite a stir, with demons from the abyss now pouring forth from the banks of the Styx to battle the devils of hell that had gathered to assault Elturel. Discovering that the Elturel Academy's magical defenses could not hold for much longer, you guys spearheaded an evacuation effort to bring all the city survivors under the roof of the High Hall Cathedral, where it was hoped Alder Ravengard might be found. Upon arriving at the cathedral, however, it was revealed that Ravengard had taken a group of soldiers with him to investigate the city's grand cemetery, where undead were seemingly pouring forth. As well as this, Ravengard was hoping to retrieve the Helm of Torm's sight from the cemetery, an ancient holy relic that allows the wearer to commune with the deity Torm. The survivors having hoped to use this relic to find answers on how they might save themselves from the horrors of hell. You guys traveled to the cemetery, finding that the custodian of the cemetery, somebody you were both familiar with, Mr. Gideon Lunaward, he had become undead himself, and the undead prowling the city seemed to answer to him. But underneath the cemetery's chapel, you located Ravengard, who was wearing the Helm of Torm's sight, although he was currently fighting off some sort of demonic possession. Not entirely sure on how to deal with this situation, or the demonic portal that had seemingly opened beneath the cemetery, you decided to strap Alder Ravengard to your flying broom and fly him back to the cathedral. Gideon Lunaward, the custodian of the cemetery, was not willing to see him go, however. So a scuffle broke out. You guys fought through his minions and managed to successfully flee back to the cathedral, where one of the priests there was able to remove the helm from Ravengard and lift the attempted possession of him. The helm was then cleansed, and Jellie, you donned the helm and had a vision showing what appeared to be the sword of Zariel from when she was an angel before she became Archdevil, seemingly locked away in some sort of grand white palace or citadel somewhere in Avernus. And with that, you guys kind of reconnected with some old friends from your past. And that is, I believe, where we pick up.
Yep.
You
Well
guys
done.
can feel free to jump in if there are any details I've glossed over, any important points that I've dropped there.
No, that was amazing, Gavin. That was
very good. Very
incredible.
We did crunch the numbers, and it was like over 100 hours of content that we had to
Mhm.
summarize there. So
Yeah.
well done.
very streamlined.
It was
but
good. Nice.
That's the general gist of where we're at.
Yeah.
50% of this campaign is me and Sarah just dicking around. So.
Exactly. We've been fucking idiots.
We have a good time.
We have a good time.
Yeah, it's
We
fucking amazing.
So
I think that just about covers the summary then.
what I'm gonna